Good morning everyone, myself Saksham Maheri, I am a student of Humanities class 11. Today I am going to explain you all about the Constitution. So now let us focus on the board. First of all, what Constitution means. Constitution is a set of document or a document which specify different articles and norms that help in the smooth functioning of the government as well as various institutions of the society, and it contains many fundamental rights that are fundamental in the sense that no government can trespass them. Now let us focus on the functions of the Constitution. The first function of the Constitution is it allows coordinates and assurance. In India, as it is a very diverse country, like I have different opinions on any matter and he has different opinions, as well as our caste is different, religious is different, occupational mobility is different, many differences are there. So how we will trust each other? How we will coordinate? How we will ensure that the other person will not cheat with us? This the Constitution does because it provides some basic rights. It provides some basic rights that allows the minimal coordination among the
Citizens.
society as well as assurance. It provides assurance. Assurance in the way that these are legally enforceable, that the other person will not follow the rights, he will be punished. This provides assurance. The second function of the Constitution is it is specify the decision making power. The Constitution is a body of fundamental principles. Like he wants a rule X and I want a rule Y. And so how we will come to a conclusion that which rule should prevail? So this decision-making power is given by the Constitution in such a way that in India there is a parliamentary system in which we send our representative who fight and discuss and debate for the which type of law should prevail in India. So Constitution specifies the decision-making power and who has the decision-making power and how the society will be constituted. The third function of the Constitution is set some limit on the government. There are many countries who only specify the decision-making power, but they forget to enhance the constitution by setting the limit of the government. Because we cannot trust any government blindly. Maybe the government become arbitrary that it does not allow anyone to wear certain type of clothes or certain group cannot take water from the well, and many more discrimination can be done or a patriarchal form of government can be established. So, constitution gives set some limits on what government can impose on us, and these limits are fundamental in the sense that no government can trespass them. How these limits are there? These limits are set by the fundamental rights. There are some of the fundamental rights like freedom of conscience, freedom of association, freedom of trade, and freedom of speech. So these cannot be trespassed by the government. Only it can be trespassed when there is a national emergency, as well as there are some terms and conditions that are mentioned in the Constitution. The fourth function of the Constitution is goals and aspirations of the society. In many constitutions, all these three functions are mentioned, but nowadays, this 20th century constitution mention goals and aspirations of the society. So the question comes, why they mention? They mention this because, like in India, it is a very diverse country. We need to take positive steps toward ending the diversity and making it collective all the people. Like in India, there is caste discrimination, and the people's aspiration and goal was to end it. And the constitution worked as it provided the framework for the constitution to work upon it. So that's why it ended. And we can also take an example of South Africa also, like their racial discrimination was there, and the goals and aspiration of the people was to end it. That's why it ended. The fifth function of the constitution is fundamental identity of individual. It means that it provides the collective belonging. Like we have diversity, we are not equal, we are all different and in our country, but we have to follow one constitution. That's why it provides collective belonging to us, as well as it provides three types of fundamental identity: in moral ways, in national ways, and in social ways. Now let us come upon the authority of the constitution. There are many countries in where the constitution is just on paper. It is not followed. It is not followed in such a way that people see that it does not have any authority. But it is not in the case of India, because the constitution was made by the Constituent Assembly. Mode of communication, that how it was made. It was made by the Constituent Assembly from December 1946 to November 1949, and it was made by the people who enjoyed immense public credibility. It means that they were very popular and they can negotiate with different types of groups. Their diversity was there, and they negotiate with people that constitution is not making for our power. It is for the welfare and the benefit of you. And in many countries, the constitution is subjected to referendum that this country should have, but it was not in the case of India. All accepted the constitution by heart. The substantive provision of the constitution. It is the hallmark successful constitution, hallmark of the success of constitution. that why the people should go through this substantive provision, why the people should go through its provision. The constitution focuses on freedom and equality. Like in many countries, the constitution benefit a single community or the other community to feel very alienated. But this is not in the case of India, because it works on freedom and equality. All are equal. That's why all trust on the justice of the constitution and go along with the substantive provision of the constitution. Third authority of the constitution is balanced institutionalism. In many countries, people, the small group, generally the small group, try to subvert the constitution, but this is not the case in India, because the institutions are arranged in such a way that no single institution can subvert the other. There is a clear check and balances. All the institutions are equal, like the legislature, executive, and judiciary. Now, like the legislature, executive, and judiciary. No single institution can directly resolve any of the, and there are many independent commissions and statutory commission also, like election commission. How the Indian constitution was made? Now the question came, how the Indian constitution was made? Indian constitution was made by the Constituent Assembly from 9 December 1946. It was held its first meeting, and then after the divided India, it is reassembled on 14 August 1947. How the constitution was made? It was made on the line proposed by the plans of British Commission on the Cabinet Mission. There were 292 provinces allotted in 93 princely states. There were four major features of the Cabinet Mission. The first function of the Cabinet Mission was that the princely state of the province was divided, or the seat were divided on the basis of population, 1:to the ratio of 10. And the second provision was that the seat was divided among the 6 Muslim and generals. And the third provision was that in princely states it was to be consulted by the proportional representation of transferable vote and single transferable vote. And the fourth provision was that in a province it should be the representative should be chosen by the consultation of the king or the main head of the province. Now let us come on the composition of the assembly. At the time when India and Pakistan was not divided, the commission contains 389, but after the India was divided, it contains 290. And the constitution was made in 166 days. The meeting was done for 166 days, which was spread over 2 years, 11 months, 18 days. And on 24 Jan 1950, 284 members signed the constitution, and on 26 Jan 1950, it came into force. There were certain changes made in the constitution. All the religions and castes were given equal representation, and 28% of the seat was reserved for the SC community as well as women also. And the third was that 82% of the seat was reserved for the Congress, because Congress was itself very diverse, that it can uphold all the groups and contains all the type of diversity that it upholds. The principle of deliberation. First of all, let us know what is deliberation. Deliberation means negotiation. How it deals with authorities. The authority of the constitution cannot be derived from the diversity of the people who are there represented, but it is due from the fact that how it is framed. Indian constitution is framed in such a way that representative are diversity, but they aggregate their interest for the whole nation. They think for the whole nation. They debate it for the whole nation, not for their representative. Like I am a representative of Hindu community, so I am fighting for Hindu. But they think of the nation as the whole. And there were conflict on every matter that the debates and discussion were done, but there was no conflict on universal subjects. And the principle of deliberation was achieved by the public reason. What is public reason? Public reason is a situation in which we convince the other for our fact. We convince the other that we are right and he also agrees. Inheritance of the nationalism. No constitution is just a product of the people who made it. Indian constitution was made and given concrete shape because there was a nationalist movement taking place in the background that forced the constitution to be made. There was objective resolution which was introduced during the nationalist movement, which was removed by Jawaharlal Nehru in 1946. Objective resolution is just basically the resolutions or the fact or the framework that provide what the constitution means and what are its objectives. And another method that authority of the constitution came from the value and norms, that the constitution is not the maze for rules and regulation, but it is the promise, it is the moral commitment and the promise to fulfill the promise for all of its citizens. The institutional arrangement. Our constitution makers were well aware that if the constitution is made, all the things are required. But main is the institutional arrangement, that it should be equal. No institution should subvert another institution. So it adopted the parliamentary form of government. And the federal system is generally a system in which the power is being decentralized among the central as well as the state, and it borrowed the principle. It borrowed the principle from any other country. The framers of the constitution kept their mind broad, that we should borrow it, not they were narrow-minded. They borrowed the principles and debated on the ground of India that will be suitable. Thank you. This was my presentation.